This is the point where we say hello and welcome. This is the second batch. Well, I just had my little ones come visiting, and maybe or maybe you heard one or two things from them that could have reminded you of your childhood. If you're not looking for your childhood, like Michael Jackson, childhood very essential. But nowadays we find a lot of children are losing their childhood because of the situation Nigeria has found herself. You find children out there doing the things adults should be doing, fending for families when families should be fending for them. Very sad, but what can we do but work to have a better country so our children can have a life? Yesterday, many people woke up or got to hear about a very sad thing that happened at Oregun, here in Ikeja, where Christ Embassy headquarters got gutted by fire. It was very big fire, very big fire. The whole thing was, practically destroyed. And the church is saying that, we're going to be pulling down this building. Probably we're thinking about pulling it down and building something else. And then, I'm very sure after this, a lot of things would happen. If it were some other person who still wanted to work with the structure, there's something they will now have to carry out, an integrity test to find out if that place can still hold another structure for just paint and rework, or pull down everything completely. Well, the church has said we're going to be pulling it down. Probably they're still considering that. But for a bigger, better thing to come up, the old has to go, Abby. Because it just can't remain the way it is. And it has been a case here in Nigeria for some time now. We've had several fires. Lagos has experienced some really bad fire outbreaks recently. A response level, I really can't say how good or bad. Those I have with me here will be telling us more. And we've lost a lot of properties. We've lost a lot of, some lives have gone all over the country too. And some people have to start from the very bottom, from the scratch. For instance, if you just run through the papers, you see a place like FCT, Minister of State's residence, that got burned some time back. You remember that of Abure and the family, the police divisional office in Kano. Osun recorded about 70 fire outbreaks in 2023. Anambra lost some things too via fire outbreaks. Virtually all the states, if you run through, you definitely see this or that, and the issue of fire outbreaks here and there. What has the response been, or what is the response usually like across the country? These are some of the things we'll be looking at shortly, as I'll be joined by my guests who are seated in the studio here and joining also remotely. I have Mr. Chris Adeluba. He is a certified fire and safety expert. He is here with us. Joining us virtually, Engineer Timothy Iwagu is President, Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria, ISPON. And also we have Joseph Olorunso with us here. We'll be looking at safety measures in public facilities. In fact, safety measures everywhere where we're talking fire, how to, deal with it and how to protect ourselves. You're all welcome to the studio this morning. Nice having you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Joseph, let me see if I have your right mic. All right.
Okay, good morning.
Okay, Joseph, again.
Good morning.
You have to.
Good morning.
Okay, all right. It's a pleasure having all of you join us today on the program. We're still expecting to have our other guests join us virtually. And how did you guys feel yesterday morning when you maybe woke up to the news? Because it happened before service, right? And so thankfully people were not everywhere, maybe workers who were just getting ready for service and all that. How did you feel when you heard it, Chris?
Bad, the least I would say, because people are just getting into church. Workers are probably preparing to start the service, and the thing happened. Thank God it was not a crowded auditorium yet before we start hearing and seeing all the flames.
Yeah, Joseph, it was a surprising thing. Not very far from where I was, and I was like, what's going on? I was quite surprised to have heard such a thing happening.
Yeah, it's a bit surprise to me. But yesterday I went to that very place to see what has happened and the rest of them. It was a very very big job for Lagos State Fire Service. But the challenge the challenge to me that we have there is when something happens, there are sometimes you have to a bit be careful on what you say, so that especially from the survivor or people that thing actually happened to. When I heard something they say credited to the general overseer of Christ Embassy, I say, well, because they say that the man said that the pastor says it's not accident, and from our profession, when something happens, say it's not an accident, then we need to prove more, because if it is not accident, then it could be deliberate.
Did we hear him say so?
Yeah, it was.
Did he say it?
I will call someone from that very person. Look at the. He say yes that they mean what the man is trying to say is something that they can overcome. They are capable of handling, and they are going to bring a very befitting edifice or building there. But I say, but that first statement, it is not accident. From some professional will now be telling you, can you go detail? And again, I think I equally learned that they worship in many of them worship in another, particularly Ogun State, that yesterday. So there are a lot of
at
things.
Their camp, maybe?
Yes, I pray that although here we don't appreciate investigation in Nigeria, that's why we don't learn, and some event continue to happen, because the one that happened, the government or agency did not sit down, investigate, and answer, okay, from the lesson we pick from this thing that happened, let us take ABC measure so that it will not happen in any other facility. But you may be surprised that a building got burnt, number 10 of a particular street got burnt. Before you know, maybe next week, it's possible that number 12 or number 9. Which show that no lesson was learned from the first one, and that's why we'll continue to be experiencing issue of fire outbreak.
We'll be joined by Engineer Timothy Iweagu shortly, President Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria, and we'll be looking at the role of safety in all of this, where we should be putting safety. Now, as a fire and safety expert, looking at what happened and what has been happening fire-wise, like the ones that usually would occur, Lagos Island and so on, what have you seen from all the investigations you've carried out? What have you seen to be the reason behind these major fire outbreaks?
Lack of awareness, enough safety awareness. People still carry on like we used to carry on. We still want to live in our old days where we do things like it always have been done. And you can't continue to do things the way you used to do it and you expect a change. The Lagos State government is really doing a lot in this aspect. I can say that. You see houses that were found to be at risk, they either lock it up or pull it down or this or that. But people still don't take safety as their responsibility. The moment you start realizing that your safety is in your hand, you will see an individual pulling up a structure, and you look into that structure, you don't even find anything safety in it. I've been to several sites, I've been to several places where you see a building that is existing already, that is in use, but basic safety apparatus are not put in place.
Okay, let me check to see if engineer is set with us. Hello, engineer. Good afternoon.
Morning.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, engineer. Okay, can we try sort that out? I can hear the ambience in his area, but can't hear him. Okay, they are trying to sort that out. Once we are done, I will go back there. Carry on, Chris.
So it's had to be a total reorientation for us to know that safety is everybody's business.
Let's go back to the beginning of what the idea of my question was. What are some of the things you found out to be the major cause or causes of these fires we've had Lagos Island. We can't speculate for that of Christ Embassy until they tell us what's
costed.
Yeah. So for the others that they gave us an idea, what did you discover?
It has always been human error.
Yeah, break it down. What kind of things did they do in error?
Putting your DB board most of the time in the wrong place, or not having the right fire apparatus. The fire always happen.
DB what? DB board?
Your DB board. That's your electrical board.
Yeah.
Most of the time when this fire happen, it happens from that source.
And what is the wrong place? I like us to break it down, because the idea again is for people to hear and
it must be accessible. It must be in a place that is accessible. If your electrical apparatus are in places that are not accessible, when there is dangers happen, things happen, but when they happen, you are able to access the place and nip it on the board, or you don't have the right machinery to use. If you have a simple extinguisher, when the fire started, it could have been taken care of.
Okay, give me a second. Let's try again. Hello, engineer. Hello. Hey, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good morning, Engineer Timothy. Well, good. How are you today?
I'm fine. Good morning to you.
Yeah. Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from the national headquarters of Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria.
Great to have you join us. Is that it?
At Ikotu,
Okay,
Lagos.
Nice to have you today. Before we move on to talk about other things, I'd like to really understand what the Institute is all about. Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria. Let's understand it first before we move on to talk about the issue on the ground.
Yes, the Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria is a corporate body established by an act of the National Assembly of Federal Republic of Nigeria with certain objectives, certain functions, certain powers. And one of the objectives is to establish a training awareness format to get people certified, and so that they can be able to apply to become safety professionals.
And who are safety professionals? I like step by step. Safety professionals would include?
Safety professionals would include persons who have gone through training, who have obtained certain qualifications, and who have gotten enough knowledge to practice safety management. Whether they got those certifications within Nigeria or outside Nigeria, they must first come to the Institute before they can be given membership. And then that is when the law recognizes such persons as safety professionals. Otherwise, people who are practicing without going through our trainings and maybe examinations, we cannot account for them. And some of these ones we call quacks. Just like the aim is to regulate, the law permits us to regulate safety management in Federal Republic of Nigeria, and we should do so in collaboration with relevant agencies of government, such agencies that will involve us in teamwork when it comes to making, creating standards, conducting researches, and then we also have a lot to do with agencies that goes on enforcement of compliance to safety regulations.
Okay, engineer, let's do a little listing now. When we're talking of these safety professionals, you've indirectly mentioned a couple of them. If we can have a list that we can run through. For instance, will firefighters fall under this? If yes, who are the other, or what are the other professionals that fall under this umbrella of safety, of being safety professionals?
Yes, every firefighter, every member of the Road Safety Corps, members of the armed forces, every area of human endeavor has some sort of hazards associated with their operations. So safety management is everybody's concern. It's not specifically for a particular people we are going to list out, but anybody who is engaged in work. Every work has some element of hazards, either by its very generic nature compared to other works, or specifically.
Okay, thank you. So, Chris, having said this, that means you're certified, you've done trainings and all that, so you are able to recognize those who are not worthy of being called that. In all the investigations we've carried out, for instance, I'll remain with Lagos Island, where that seem to have a lot of the fire issues
in recent
times. Your journey to that place, in quotes, have you seen enough safety professionals stationed there or at work there? For instance, do we have a fire service station situated in that densely populated place with buildings so jam-packed?
Yeah, we have at what's the street again? At off that marina, we have Federal Fire Service office there.
In the heart?
Yes, in the heart of that's Lagos Island. And I'm sure we also have Lagos Fire Service around the axis too. And I'm sure Lagos State government is coming up with something very soon that is taking care of what we call a mini fire stations around those areas, actually around Lagos.
Yeah, let's go back to that DB board you were talking about. Yes. And you said that sometimes people position them wrongly. Now, I want to have you share with us some of the type of places you've seen people position these boards. They just thought they were normal places to put them, but turned out to be disastrous, catastrophic.
I've seen a DB board in the generator house.
You say?
I've seen a DB board in the generator house.
I heard you.
I've seen.
But the generator house is usually quite hot and all that. Does it not affect it?
Well, it happened. It turned out to be fire, so we were called.
Oh, okay.
And we got there. Of course, we don't need to investigate. The investigation is done. This was the cause, and the whole mini estate nearly got burnt down.
And what was the reason for that? Did you care to find out?
That is what we will call defect in design.
Okay.
The person that designed probably the building or the fire arrangement did the wrong design, and because a lot of designs are not, people design and are not approved, so they end up doing wrong thing that will cause hazard for other people.
And what is the role of the institute in this kind of situation, engineer, where defective design now leads to fire? Do we have safety professionals who should be regulating how these things are aligned right from the get-go, right from the foundation laying of a house? Do you cover that? Okay, go ahead, please. I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes,
you can hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Right.
Okay. Yes. Safety, just like security, has to be incorporated in any environment or facility from the design and construction stages. You cannot, at the end of designing and building, you now want to incorporate safety. For example, if you must have an escape door, exit, it must be in your design of building. Not after you've finished building, you now remember that you are supposed to have a staircase at the back. These things are issues which, unlike advanced societies of this world, Nigeria and Nigerians have been surviving in a manner that is shocking to the civilized communities. We cannot design build, and after that we start complaining. Some places no ventilation, no escape route. Some places even don't know why they should have the first aid appliance we call portable fire extinguisher. In some places, you have sprinkler systems, you have fire alarm systems, you have smoke detectors, you have heat sensors. All these are to support a building or environment against the losses associated with fire, and sometimes lives are lost. Now, if a sprinkler system has been there for the last 15, 20 years and has never been used once, it would have become defective either by the very valve that is supposed to supply water to that place, that would have been stuck, so that any day you want to use it, you may not be able to unlock the valve. Now, if there's a smoke detector that has not been tested, whether it's functional, the functionality of these things must be a regular and routine issue. That can only be done by a safety professional. As far as somebody is not trained, is not certified in that angle, he might just be there for ceremonial purposes. And that is why today some of these issues have become recurrent. Each time there's fire, you go, the same story is told. Some years ago, I visited Mom and Kotangora House, about 23 or so of Marina in Lagos, when there was fire. And we found out that a very big diesel generator was on the top floor, on the top floor. And then we are looking at, there was fire, of course, on that generator, and it affected the building. But that's not the issue now. What we are saying is, beyond fire, the vibration of that generator, the shock is sending to the structure of that building, and how the integrity, the structural integrity, is being compromised on a chronic basis, not acute, because it will be giving the shock and it will be affecting it over a long period of time. And one day, a building may collapse. There are quite a lot of things. If you go to Festac Town, a block of flats where you have up to 16 flats, and everybody wants to have a lit generator in front of his own flat, the cumulative vibrations will affect the building structurally. Over years, we have been grappling with these inexplicable expression of ignorance. And that has been part of a society where revenue generation has been mistaken for safety enforcement.
Okay.
It's not yeah.
Okay. Because you said so much, and I'm quite curious, Joseph, in all your journeys, doing your investigative things, all these things mentioned so far that should be in the design of the house from when you're starting. Have you seen these at all at play? And if yes, do the people even know the importance?
The answer is no, and that will make an investigation to be very, very complex in Nigeria. The environment is designed, designed to frustrate the investigation process. You can have maybe a building that they're having a fire incident. People, other fire service want to access the place. Sometimes they need to break either a fence or a particular part of the building for them to access that very place. That process of breaking equally consume time.
Yeah.
That will make and sometimes a lot of vital information that would have helped on investigation may be consumed by that same fire. So, and here we are not ready for us to, just like what the professional is saying, everything in Nigeria, money, because we are looking for money. Even when our people are dying, we are saying we are still looking for money. You see some of the some agency who's supposed to check all this, they will just, if you are paying all your regular due, you know this one is a compliant. That you are paying your due means that you are compliant.
Without coming to check.
Without coming to check at all. I was in one very big facility and a nature call, and it became a problem entirely. That was over the weekend. And I went there and said, ma, we came here to buy something and we need to visit the convenience. He said, okay, let me take you to one of the banks that's adjacent to the place. Let us beg them if they will allow you. I said, ma, what if they did not allow? Because I didn't have not, the bank did not operate in the weekend. So we came to buy something in your mall, very big mall, fine mall, but no place for if nature call, which we showed again the same place, the same facility. There is no exit in that very place, no exit. If anything happen, maybe close to the exit door, I mean everybody will be consumed in that that very place. But from information I got from the woman, I say, I know we are safety compliance. That is paying her due to the agency that's supposed to come and check. So the agency don't need to even come there
to check.
To come and check.
You know, engineer referred to the issue of a building that had the huge generator at the top floor, and that can compromise the integrity of that building. Sure. And I saw when they were having the issue, Lagos Island, after they had the fire that gutted several buildings in one part of the market also. Yeah. And the fact that some people had their gens up there, right? And probably somebody was actually filling up his gen with fuel, and issues started. Are these people not aware? Is there any form of campaign, education going on to let people know these things that we are hearing now?
I know some organizations that I've worked with in the past. I know do campaigns just like that to do maybe festive period. They go around the country, the state rather, to create awareness on how you do your housekeeping. Housekeeping is making room for passage, especially when there's danger. If you are in your room and you cannot close your eyes and walk out of the room, then there's problem in the room. You must be able to create a way that if you cannot see where I am, how do I get out of here? You have to even make that a practice. But if in the passage where you ought to follow out of the room, you have a bucket standing there, you have one keg standing somewhere, and one blockage, the day problem comes, it becomes very difficult to get out. So those are the education that I've seen some organizations do. On the part of the government, I think they can do better. It is the government that have the ability and the power to do that more. So if the government will come into it, especially as it is now, and make it a point of duty to educate people, print flyers, print leaflets, visit markets, make radio visits and stuff, that will go a long way in making people know what to do, when to do, and how to do it.
Engineer Wagu, you see, right now we're on radio, and this is a part of the information dissemination process we're doing here, or we're having here. And I would like us to share here, if we were in the midst of a community, how would we tell them to ensure safety, not just in their homes, but in the community? Like the generator thing, we said there are places where the compound may be so tight, so everybody wants to put their gen in a place where I must see my gen or may not go disappear. You know, that kind of a situation. How do we help the situation ourselves as a people and as a community? What are some small things we could put in place for safety, not just because of fire outbreaks, but general safety?
Yes, like if you look at some dictionaries, their definitions of safety tends to trivialize safety. Safety is so much more than that when they say the absence of harm. As much as that definition is valid, it is not covering or portraying what can trigger the necessary consciousness. Because when you say absence of harm, because if we are teaching any community, if we want the people to know and become conscious, because awareness has a relationship with consciousness.
Yeah.
And then consciousness triggers alertness. And so I'm speaking as a former military instructor. Even the dullest of humans, when they are put into the military has a way of training their brains to start working, either by force or by persuasion. So if you want to teach a man or make him conscious of something, there are ways of making him conscious. You must be able to maybe demonstrate and let him know that this thing is not just fiction, that it is a reality. That generator can kill is not enough. If you tell somebody, don't keep the generator close, it can kill you, or you can have a blocked nose. That's not enough. But if you have a video, especially in this era where we are almost all addicted to watching videos, so if you can show somebody how the smoke from the generator can compromise his respiratory health.
Hello? Okay. I think that shows there how it can compromise somebody's respiratory health. Okay? Hello. Okay. Let me just come in a little bit how that gen can compromise the person's respiratory health. Health reminds me of something that happened in Bielsa a month or so ago, where they had a generator inside the studio. That was the report, but if that be the true situation, investigations have not yet told us. They had the gen inside the room with them, and it took the lives of about 7 or so people. That is a good example of what people could use as a good teaching moment, right? From what you just said.
Yes. And then when you let people see such, they now know that this is real. For example, when we have been talking about climate change, global warming, ozone layer depletion, and so on, a lot of people, including very senior citizens, well-placed elite, I was in a car with somebody and it was so hot that afternoon, and I said, this part of the effect of global warming, we didn't use. He said, you have come again with this, your grammar of science. These things have been here since. So a lot of assumption have led us to where we are. And so we are not supposed to live as if we are living in 16th century. A lot of things are glaring. If you tell people that global warming can lead to flooding, and they have reason to query that, because you must know beyond the ordinary to understand how global warming can lead to flooding, pollution. Basically, we were told how not to allow stagnant water around our neighborhood. Don't keep containers that will keep water, so that mosquitoes and their larvae will not become adults and start, Some years ago, I was at the Lagos State House of Assembly during the public hearing that led to the establishment of what we have today as Lagos State Safety Commission. And I spoke, then we had the speaker, Right Honorable Adeyemi Ikufuriji, I think I'm sure that name. So, and then we said, I told them that there's need to have a safety commission, because we're coming there to convince them on the need to establish a safety commission. And then we talked about then we're still having free malaria treatment. I don't know whether it's still. We have free malaria treatment, and I said it will be penny wise, pound foolish to have free malaria treatment, but without free malaria mosquito-free environment. Which one is better, free malaria treatment or mosquito-free environment? So I pointed out areas from Ajebule waterside to Iwaya, Makuko, all these areas. I pointed out around Lagos to the brackish waters of Coconut areas.
A lot of places.
Yes, so and I said some of this water they are not flowing, and the decaying organic material inside these waters is releasing stench that constitutes environmental nuisance, and then the health and safety of the people is tied to the environment. So we're looking at all these things. That's why when we talk about health, safety, and environment, so I told them that it would be nice for the government to establish this safety commission and let the safety commission be at least have safety professionals working there, not just civil servants.
Yes.
Civil servants may not care, but safety professionals, for example, if a doctor is a civil servant, he is a doctor.
Okay.
Before he became a civil servant.
Okay, so that call is already there to be sure things are done well and safely. So all these things you've lifted just gives a picture of one thing, that everything ties in. The health, the environment, everything tie in to become what we will now credit to being safety conscious. Right?
Yes.
Right. Okay,
Yes.
let me quickly find out something from Chris. You're a fire expert, and you understand some of these things. You've seen a lot of these things playing out, fires and so on. What are some of the things you can tell people right now to do to avoid an outbreak in their homes? Not just a public facility, not just a big church like the one we just experienced, even in that one bedroom. What can we do to save ourselves from fire outbreaks?
I'll just say for now, I'll just say three things.
Okay.
Number one, do proper housekeeping. Put things in place. Because some of the things that we have scattered all over the house are fuel to fire anytime. Number two, get an extinguisher. No matter how small your space is, you need an extinguisher in your house. I've been to public places, I don't want to mention the area, that I went to conduct a survey, and as mighty as that structure is, there's no single fire prevention equipment, no detection equipment. Detection equipments are your smoke detectors and sensors and heat detectors and all that. Your firefighting, what we call firefighting and first aid, are your extinguishers. Extinguishers are first aid that everybody should have in the house. When any fire you are not able to get hold of in 3 minutes, you need a professional to handle it. Any fire you're not able to handle in 3 minutes. So get your basic fire aids, that's your extinguishers. Get your housekeeping. And number three, basic education. Get to know when to do what. Don't be don't be a James Bond when fire happen. A lot of people die in fire because they want to control fire that is beyond them. When the fire is getting to a level that you can't control, run. First thing when fire happen, call for help, then you try to face it. And if you can't, run. A lot of people face fire facing the door. That's a very wrong approach. You face fire backing the door, so that when it's overpowering you, you drop what you have and you use the door. But when you face the door fighting the fire, when the fire gets to the door, how do you escape? Those are little basic things that we must understand. And when we have that knowledge, it goes a long way. Schools should start teaching basic fire education. Organizations should start taking fire drills. When you have maybe once monthly, once in 2 months, take your staff through fire drill. If something happened now, how do we handle it? Call in fire professionals, let them come and take you on fire drills. Call in fire professionals to your school, let them take your children fire drill. A lot of fire will have been taken care of if the children know what to do or what not to do. Fires are caused often by carelessness or by one error or the other. So when
Error,
we know
like
that,
when you're frying something and the oil catches fire, you decide to pour water inside.
or maybe when electrical installations are done in the wrong way, your wires go through the wrong points. Those, when there's a little heat on the fire, it can trigger and becomes something you can't control. So those things are what will be planned into the house. But when those ones are done, our own part is education. Know how to use fire equipment, know where to put what in the house, know how to take care of yourselves, and we'll all be good.
You're listening to VOP 90.3 FM, City of Lagos. I'm Cordelia Obe, and I have with me Engineer Timothy Iwagu. He's joining us remotely. He's President, Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria, SPON. And in the studio, Mr. Chris Adeluba. I got it right?
Very well.
He's a certified fire and safety expert. And Joseph Olorenshaw is also with us too. He's quite vast in investigative, or rather in investigations. So they're all here to help us find out how we can put measures in place to keep us safe, be it in a fire outbreak, any safety concern, wherever you are, how to keep yourself safe. You can send a message, you can call the number 0700 903 903 903. You could ask them a question if there's something you're not sure of, or I could help you. You could also send a text 0817 175 6338. And either way, just keep listening so that you'd understand where we are going and how we are going. Now, for a building that has been fully completed, you now discover you've moved into the building. There is no exit. There is no fire. You have just one in and out, one door in and out. Engineer, what do you do in such a situation? How can you help yourself, since you can't start destroying the wall to put another door?
Maybe you just have to start sleeping near the door.
Sleeping near the door.
So, you see, I love this question. It's not far from the type of question I was asked during the COVID-19, and somebody said, now that people are not supposed to come close to each other, how are they going to be sitting inside aircraft? And I said, that's another question. Do we take all the aircraft back to the manufacturers to remove the seats so that you have one person per row and the row of seats? And if they do that, is it to enable the aircraft make their money? So the airline make their money? So these are questions. That's why I said from the onset here that safety, just like security, must be incorporated at design and construction stages. And then if you are in a place where you don't have exit doors, you should not stay there for long. A lot of people take things for granted. The aim of doors and windows in modern day architecture is not just about human movement, it also enhances ventilation. And then if we live where in an emergency we cannot easily move out, then we are endangered, and we should be thinking of how to relocate from such places. So it's not the best, no matter how cheap that place is. The most expensive commodity is life, and the most valued single item in the entire gamut of management is the human resource, the human being. So And the aim of every living thing is to continue living. So nobody should deliberately endanger himself or herself because he wants to save money. My father used to tell me that a shoe cannot be costlier than the leg that wear it.
So it's priceless now. The leg is priceless. So any amount of the shoe may not equate. That's right, Joseph.
Yes. Yeah.
Your take.
Yeah. My own take is I think there's need for us to, let's say, reformat our brain or the way we think. There are some, especially in Nigeria, the way we look at God is God only died. God is Father Christmas, but to me, God is not Father Christmas. There are some
why do you say that?
There are some basic knowledge that as individual we need to have, which has safety knowledge. People will enter a place, you know that something is wrong. You say, "Oh, let us close our eyes and pray." When you pray, it will not change. That place still very, very putting your life in a risk. You understand? There is need for us to proper investigation. If you want to do anything and you see that safety, the place is prone to a lot of safety issue risk, you don't need to say everybody let's close our eyes and sing a song and pray that we cover the place with the blood of Jesus Christ. Because the more we are be covered places in the blood of Jesus Christ, we know that blood of Jesus Christ is in fact is everlasting, it can never finish. But for Nigeria, the way we are using the blood would have finished by now. So it is time for Nigeria to sit down and reduce the way we use the blood of Jesus Christ by taking some simple measure that will help our safety. You go to some schools that have children did not know much about maybe what safety is. You put the children in that kind of environment. If there's anything, you see that you see a lot of casualty. So there's need for us to sit down and actually study how do God operate. Did God operate in the midst of foolish activity or foolishness? God is a very the Bible clearly tells us that if you want wisdom, ask from God, which shows that whatever you want to do, ask God for direction. And for you to ask for direction, there you are looking for knowledge. And knowledge, safety is knowledge.
Okay, let's quickly take this call. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon. What's your name?
Good afternoon to your wonderful guests in the building.
Thank you.
Good day, sir. The fireman in the building. You have Alexo.
Well done, sir.
Okay, welcome.
Yes, sir. Yeah, for me, I used to work in the corporate company way back, and I went through the fire training as well. But before then, because I used to tell people, safety first. In everything we do, safety. But I discovered majorly in Nigeria, most homes don't have these extinguishers, and they can't even differentiate between the one for electric cables and the one for, ordinary fire. I don't know if you get what I'm saying, sir.
We're following you.
Yeah, because for me, where I stay currently now, I have this apparatus installed.
Okay.
And to God be good, because we had an incident where one of my neighbor, they sent their child to go switch on their gen, and in the process of doing that, the thing caught fire. I think they were trying to pour fuel into the tank while the gen was on. So one of our neighbors came knocking at the door, saying, "Fire, fire, fire!" And the thing was already the wood that was used for the roof of the gen house had already caught fire. And to God be the glory, I remember that we had that installed at the staircase. So we had to run there and pick the extinguisher, not the one with the red color. Yes, not the one with the red color. I forgot the name. See, the one I know the fireman know what I'm saying. So that was what we were able to use to control that.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. Thank you.
So Nigerians need to take this to safety, to cognizance of safety first in everything. And also, I do not remember, gas cylinders, where we place our gas cylinders as well, is also important.
Okay, let's talk about that now quickly. You just heard him. Two types of. Thank you very much.
I didn't hear him.
Okay, I'll tell you what he said. Because we are both on the same device, so it knocked us off. Sorry. He was just talking about the fact that we have two types of extinguishers that a lot of people do not know about. That we have one that is good for electrical fittings and another one That's a normal normal type of extinguisher, and it also talks about where we drop our cylinders in the house. And I wanted Chris to quickly say something about that. Chris?
Yes, we actually have, for general basic knowledge, we have 5 types of extinguishers, not 2. We have the water, we have the foam, we have the powder, we have the CO2, that's the gas, and we have the wet chemical.
And all of them are in cylinders?
They are all in cylinders.
How do you know which is which? By reading or what?
Yes, on every one of them, they have color label, and on the color label, they have name written on it. They have on the water, is just a transparent. Normally, extinguishers now comes in red canisters. So on the water, you will see a transparent red, same red color sticker on it, and they write water on it. It's not the water you fetch in the house, because a lot of people will say, okay, Shebi, you have said water now, go and fetch water. This is the water, is actually a treated water, and is meant for certain kind of fire.
Like?
You can use that for kind of wood or paper fire, but not when it's out of control. Also, we have foam. The foam is actually used for solid fuel as well as kind of flammable liquids. A lot of times you see when there's spillage on the road, you see what the firefighters spread on it. It foams and cover it. The aim of any extinguisher is to take one of the agents of fire out.
And when one agent is missing, the fire goes
out.
Okay.
So the foam or the water or the gas or the chemical, at any point in time, what it does is sniff the burning agent, sniff off the oxygen, or it takes the heat out. Once one of the 3 agents is out, the fuel, the heat, and the what do you call it, the oxygen. Once one of them is out, the fire is taken care of. So the next we have is powder. That's dry chemical powder. We call it DCP for short. That one is used for a kind of fire that you expect, like the what you have, or the cooking fire, or you have the electrical.
All those kind of
yes,
things.
Even your electrical. That's why you have the small one that you have in your car is DCP. That one takes care of electrical fire. It takes it very quickly, so that's why you have that in your car also. Also, you have CO2. The CO2 is the best for indoor because it doesn't leave residue and doesn't have it's not
hard smell.
Yes, it doesn't have smell that can be harmful to you. So you can use that in the house. That's what you have. It always comes with a narrow canister, and it's either in 2 kg, 3 kg, 5 kg at it may apply. Also, you have the trolley type of it, 10 kg.
And the 5th one?
The 5th one is what we call the wet chemical. Wet chemical is majorly used for those that are operating maybe large kitchen. You have used in cooking oil fire. And they are majorly for, so that is what they are. And these 5 are not meant for everywhere. Like I said, they have their specific places
that are good
where they are good for.
Engineer, he also referred us to the issue of gas, how people store gas, be it in their homes and in their offices, anywhere they're utilizing gas, the storage. Can you walk us through that quickly, how the best way to go?
Yes. Storage of gas. You see, one thing about storage of gas is that the gas you must be sure that you don't have leakage from any of the network of pipes linking it to wherever it is to be used. And you should also note some of the characteristics of this liquefied petroleum gas. It is a refrigerant by nature. If it is leaking and you are standing around, there's a way to know, apart from smell. You may not get the smell. Most of these hydrocarbons, originally from the column of refinery or from their natural state, they are odorless, and some of them are colorless. like water. But what you do is to know their characteristics. Like the gas, if it is leaking, gas is less in density than air, that liquefied petroleum gas. So once it leaks out from whatever container it is, a cylinder, and then it will go down to the lowest part of that environment. If it is in your kitchen, it will go at the floor level. It cannot float on the air because of its density. So it goes down. But it is also lighter than water. So if you have a bucket of water within that kitchen or anywhere, if the gas is leaking to that level of a basin or water, it will be on top of that water. It will float on top of water, but it cannot float on top of air, so it can go to the floor. Now, if you are standing there, you feel some coldness, a loss of temperature around your legs, which means something is happening. You know, sometimes we are not sensitive. We are not sensitive to our environment. The first characteristic of a living thing is its capacity to respond to changes in its environment. So some of us take everything for granted. We actually feel there's coldness suddenly, and we don't want to know why and how. So this is one thing. And when the gas is leaking, and if it picks up flame, if once that gas comes in contact with flame, it will explode from that spot and take the flame back to the source. So if the gas had been trapped at different corners of your kitchen, at different corners of the path, whether it's gutter, anywhere, drainage, it will be exploding at several points where the gas had been held. So it is a dangerous thing. People are always advised that when they are having gas cylinders, make sure it is not leaking. That is why most of the filling stations today, once you go for refilling, they want to change the seal.
Yes.
On that they change the seal. And sometimes, even when you didn't ask them to change the seal, they change the seal at no extra cost.
Yes.
I don't know whether they have added the cost.
No, it's not extra, at least the last time I checked.
So they do it because of that duty of care, society.
All right, I have to wrap this up now because time is up. So I'll still remain with you, Engineer Iweagu. Please, in less than 30 seconds, just give us your last line for today because we are leaving here in less than a minute. Just one word or so that people could run with before we come back another time.
Yes, I want to tell people also that lightning strikes can cause fire. I want to tell our people that when there is renovation, repair works in buildings, when they are doing welding, hot work, when they are using electrical torch to cut metals, heat is generated. And when it is generated, it must be controlled. The faulty or malfunctioning fire protection systems, like what they call it, the smoke detectors, the heat sensors, if they are faulty, it means that heat can build up without the alarm being triggered.
Going off. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
We must be careful about that. Smoking and using matches. Smokers, where smoking is allowed, make sure you put off your cigarette butt. Don't throw it into a trash can. It can be there smoldering gradually. When people would have closed from work and closed the door, you see that fire will come up, and many people will say it's caused by witches.
All right, Engineer, we have to go now. One line each from both of you, Chris.
Safety. Let's be careful. Let's know that even though the weather seems to be cold now, there's a lot of things around that can trigger fire.
All right.
So be careful.
Joseph?
For me, God is a safety expert. So let us find how to equip ourselves with safety knowledge.
All right. Thank you very much, Engineer Timothy Iweagu, President, Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria, ISPON. Chris Adelugba, Certified Fire and Safety Expert, and Joseph Oloronshaw, Security Analyst and Expert. Thank you all so much for sharing your time with us today. I'm sure we're going to do another round of this where we'll go deep into how to really work people through safety and fire protection. Thank you all so much. And listening to us today, I hope you had something you've taken out of this. Stay very safe. And the lightning he talked about, engineer talked about at the end, is something that is very real this raining season. We were taught as children that when it rains, avoid standing under trees. Avoid standing under trees. If you must hold an umbrella, avoid holding the metal part of it. Hold the wooden or the plastic handle. Don't stand putting your back to the wall when it's raining with all that, because conducting of electricity can happen at any point. And also stay away from windows and so on. There are plenty. We're going to do this another time, but right now I have to go. I'm Cordelia Obey. Thank you for being with us all through the day. Shegun Obasheks, thank you so much. Engineer, thank you. Joseph and Chris, thank you again. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Choma Innocent is set to take us through the news. I'll see you all again. Bye-bye.